Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel Bayverse and Madness, and today is an exciting one for me personally because today we are going to be talking about the rumoured return of Michael Bay to the Transformers live action movies. I never ever in a million years expected to be saying that, honestly. The news today means so much to me. Like, as a massive passionate fan of the Bayverse, those movies mean a hell of a lot to me, and to hear that Michael Bay could potentially be coming back after I never expected him to come back is just absolutely mind-blowing. Of course, on X, where I actually did read the leaks, a lot of people are happy and a lot of people are absolutely livid that he's coming back. So yeah, today we are going to be discussing Michael Bay's return to Transformers. As a massive passionate fan of the Bayverse, a lot of opinions of mine are going to be spoken from the heart. I'm really happy that he's coming back, but of course I do have my gripes with him coming back because I do feel like there might be some twists and turns in this story. But of course, as well, there have been a lot more leaks and rumours about the future of the Transformers live action movies. Josh Cooley has actually been announced or leaked to be announced as a director of a future Transformers live action movie. Of course, we will be discussing that in today's video, but the main one we are going to be discussing as a passionate Bayverse fan is the return of the king himself, Michael Bay. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, of course, the first thing to talk about is the return of Michael Bay, and this is the first thing that I actually read this morning. It reads, Michael Bay will return to direct a new Transformers movie at Paramount, and I just cannot believe that I actually read that, especially after all the last night stuff happened. You know, during the promotional videos for the last night, Michael Bay said, "Oh, that's me done. You know, this is my last one. I'm going out with a bang. It's a big scale movie." Quote. You know, he even said he wanted someone else to do it. He didn't even want to come back for Age of Extinction, but then he came back from the last night. He obviously made the big writer's room. He said he was going to leave, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, unfortunately on his part, the last night failed as a movie as a whole. Of course, many people said it destroyed the continuity that came before it in the four films. Of course, with the Order of Wiccans, it failed financially. It only made 605 million to Age of Extinction and Dark of the Moon's 1.1 billion, meaning has Paramount actually lost reportedly $100 million, so 605 million in the box office and lost $100 million, which is mad. And it actually was the lowest scoring Transformers movie, and many people actually say it's the worst movie they've ever seen in their life. Personally, I disagree. I think that's a bit of a stretch. However, that movie, The Last Night, actually did throw a spanner in the works for a lot of fans. It did turn them off from Transformers altogether, so I can genuinely understand the frustration in people's opinions on wanting Bay to return to the franchise. However, as a massive fan of the Bayverse, I do like The Last Night, and I'm just really, really excited to have him back. However, in my personal opinion, if you're going to bring Michael Bay back to the franchise, you need him to make a Bayverse movie, in my opinion. You know, those 5 movies are his movies, and to basically, I have an opinion or have an idea that they're not going to allow him to make a movie within the Bayverse. And a part of me thinks they're going to try and connect Rise of the Beast with the Bayverse films. And I just hope that doesn't happen, because as we know, Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee are actually their own separate continuity. Of course, as we learn in Rise of the Beast, Unicron is its own separate entity. He's his own planet. You see him. I remember when the trailer first dropped, we see him come to everyone like, "Oh, it's a reboot, get in." And Lorenzo, of course, is another big problem that I have with the Transformers movies, because, of course, he helped produce the Bay films as well, all 5 of them. And he actually keeps saying that every single Transformers movie is connected to the Bayverse. Every single Transformers movie that's been released, apart from the 86 movie, is actually the one continuity. So I remember for Bumblebee, he said it happens before the Bayverse, even though it was originally supposed to, and obviously got reworked and reshot due to the failure of The Last Night. And then when Rise of the Beast come out, he was always arguing with Stephen Caple Jr. about if it was a prequel or reboot. Of course, it was a reboot because we see Unicron come to Earth, and of course, in The Last Night, we see Unicron as Earth. Not only that, for me personally, as a big Bayverse fan, when they go through the Order of Witwicken, there is no explanation of any beast activity, you know, any maximal activity, even though the Order of Witwickens would have covered that. So that's another reason why it doesn't make any sense. And also, when Transformers 1, the animated movie, was getting made, Lorenzo was saying that it takes place millions of years before the live action movies. And I remember this was my honest reaction when I watched Transformers 1, obviously with that in mind, knowing Lorenzo said that. And when Megatron lifts up Sentinel and rips him in half, I was like, how can that guy say that this takes place in the same continuity as the Bay films, when we see Sentinel Prime get ripped in half and we see Sentinel Prime in Dark of the Moon? It just doesn't make any sense. So of course, with Lorenzo being good friends with Michael Bay, I just pray that they don't connect the rebooted universe with the Bayverse. Just keep them as their own separate thing. And that's just I just pray that we get a sequel to The Last Night, because like I said, the 5 Bayverse movies are his movies. Like, he needs to finish them off, because The Last Night ends on a cliffhanger, one of the craziest cliffhangers I've ever seen in my life. Like, we see this planet, we see the horns of this transformer that is the Earth's core. Like, this guy's going to be massive, and people were so excited. The reason I started collecting was because I was so excited for a sequel to The Last Night, and we just never got it, and it was so disappointing. Like, even when I watched The Last Night now, I do get a little bit emotional, because you know, the fact that we're never going to get an ending to the Bayverse, you know, the franchise that I love so much. It just really upsets me a little bit. So I'm just praying, with Michael Bay coming back, that he's going to make a sequel to The Last Night, or somewhere in the Bayverse. Maybe he can make a prequel to Age of Extinction. Maybe, you know, maybe bring Shia LaBeouf back and explain how Shia LaBeouf wasn't in the 4th and 5th film. Even though The Last Night does say he's dead, personally I do not think he is, and I've actually got a video explaining why I don't think he's dead. However, it could, maybe we can see some Nest activity going on. Maybe the rise of Nest between the first film and the second film. That would be awesome. So, you know, there is endless possibilities within movies that he can make in the Bayverse. But personally, I wish he can make a sequel to The Last Night, or somewhere between the movies, or maybe before the first one. You never know. But somewhere in the Bayverse would be really nice. Of course, Michael Bay is actually 60-year-old as well, so he is getting a lot older. So it would be the perfect time for me personally, or for him as well, to actually finish off what he started, you know, and put a nice, close the book on what, you know, a lot of people love, and you know, a lot of people hate it as well, but just to put a nice closure on that franchise, it'd give me some nice closure as well, just knowing that we will finally have a completed ending to the Bayverse. If that is the case, if we do actually get a sequel to The Last Night, or anywhere in the Bayverse, I will be covering everything on the channel. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and get ready for more content. If Michael Bay walks down the street and it's a big thing, I will cover it, honestly. I will be so excited if it is a film within the Bayverse. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the other news that we've got. And if you have a look at the screen right here, we actually have some news from Cultural Crave. With Michael Bay returning, there are actually 5 projects, with his included, that are actually in the works by Paramount. One of them is by Josh Cooley, who is set to direct a live-action film. Now, of course, Josh Cooley did confirm the other week at BotCon that a Transformers 1 sequel was cancelled. It wasn't going to happen, which is a real shame, and a lot of people were scratching their heads and wondering, including myself, where we was going to go from here. Now, today's been really, really exciting. I will give my overall thoughts at the end on this, but it's really, really exciting, the fact that a couple of weeks ago we was at a low point, and the fact that we can potentially like get a load of films in the future and be set. It's really, really exciting. Of course, there's the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie. And then there's also Michael Bay's potential live-action movie, which is really, really exciting for me, because that confirms my Bayverse theory. at the fact that it kind of puts me a bit to ease on the whole trying to connect the rebooted universe with the Bayverse, because I think a lot of people will be thinking that as well. But not only that, if they're announcing the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie and the Michael Bay movie separately as included in the 5 projects, that means maybe Michael Bay is actually making a sequel to The Last Night. That'll be absolutely amazing. And of course, at the bottom we see 2 additional projects are actually in early stages, so they'll probably be in the script writing sessions or maybe in the writers room sessions. I don't know. They're in early development anyway, so that means 5 live action movies are in the works. One by Josh Cooley, who is of course the director of Transformers 1, and one is from Michael Bay, and the other is a G.I. Joe crossover movie, which personally I'm not too fussed about. I'm all for the Michael Bay movie, of course, and it's actually going to be quite exciting to see what Josh Cooley does, especially after Transformers 1. It shows that he can handle the Transformers characters with ease and heart, so it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with his movie, and seeing again, where is this going to all take place? Is this going to take place in the rebooted continuity? Are they going to do 2 separate ones where Michael Bay is going to finish it off, and then maybe they're going to focus on the rebooted stuff with Josh Cooley? Who knows? Of course, there are going to be more and more updates as the years go on. There is actually a bit of a twist to this. Now, with what I've been reading, I'm actually going to put it here for you guys to see, just so I know I've got it right. But with what I've been reading, Paramount need to enter production stages with these movies by 2029. If not, Hasbro can actually take the licensing off of Paramount, and Skydance are also, I believe, going to be producing these movies as well, and I believe they're actually trying to buy Paramount, and they're actually going to be producing the Transformers movies again, which again they did a really good job in. So it's really exciting. However, I just pray, of course, with me being a Bayverse fan, I know I've said it enough times today, but I just pray that that movie can get greenlit and we do get a proper send-off to the Bayverse. That'd be really lovely. But of course, that pretty much does it for me today. Let me know what you think of Michael Bay's return. I know a lot of people are actually excited for the return of Josh Cooley as well. That's really nice that people are getting everything that they want, you know. That's really what I like, you know. If people want to see a Bayverse film, they want to make a movie with Michael Bay, that's cool. And then obviously Josh Cooley, if people want to see Josh Cooley come back, they're bringing back Josh Cooley. So the fact that we've got movies in the works for everybody, if people are excited for the G.I. Joe crossover, that movie is in the works as well. So the fact that we're getting movies in the works for different sets of the fandom is really cool in my opinion. I really like that the movies are going to be for everybody. You know, we're going to get a movie in the Bayverse potentially, hopefully. We're going to get the G.I. Joe crossover for those who are a big fan of that, and we're going to get Josh Cooley making a Transformers film, which is actually my second most looking forward to Transformers movie. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how the years pan out. Of course, as mentioned, they have until 2029 to hit development stages for these movies, or else Hasbro can actually take the licensing off of Paramount and give it to somebody else. So we'll see. Of course, I'm going to be covering everything. If it's in the Bayverse, of course, I am Bayverse of Madness, so I will be covering it here on the channel. I hope everybody can see how excited I am, but I have never been this excited for a movie in my life. I swear to God, I cannot believe that this today has happened. I am so happy. It's took me hours to record this video. I don't know if you could tell with how it's been edited, but it's took me hours to make this video because I'm just so excited, you know. As mentioned, the Bayverse and the 5 Bayverse movies means so much to me, and to potentially get an end to what, you know, I love the most is just really heartwarming, and yeah, all in all, just really exciting as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening to me waffle on as always. I appreciate the support from everybody. We have nearly hit 1,000 subs, which is absolutely mad. Now, with the videos that I've got planned, I've got some massive videos in the works. Of course, we've got a lot of complete collections. We've got complete collection showcases coming along We've got a complete collection retrospectives. We're going to be displaying more of the collection, as you can see behind us. We're going to be actually displaying the Last Night collection very, very soon, which is actually quite fitting considering we're potentially talking about the Last Night sequel. We're going to be doing some figure reviews. I'm thinking about reviewing some blockies and of course the YOLO pack stuff, so be excited for that. I am in the works of taking a look at the Transformers 2007 Ghosts of Yesterday prequel novel, which I'm actually going to be taking a look at and making a video for you guys to see if it's canon or not. Of course, I am actually in the works with that video. I hope you guys will enjoy that. I've got some theory videos on the way. I've got some complete collection videos on the way. I've got theories, complete history of certain characters. You definitely do not want to miss those videos. I'm so excited to be releasing them, and all in all, putting smiles on people's faces and making people enjoy the content, because the response for everything has been really, really heartwarming. As always, the positivity is absolutely not. So I can't thank everybody enough for that. We're nearly at 1,000 subs, which is just absolutely nuts, especially as a Bayverse fan. To be talking about the movies, which I've always dreamed about doing, we're now in a situation where we're nearly at 1,000 subs, which is absolutely crazy. Again, I am really, really looking forward to the videos that I've got planned released. I really hope you enjoy them as well. Here's to hopefully a sequel to The Last Night as well. Of course, as mentioned, I will be recovering everything here on the channel. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening to me waffle on. I am very self-aware, but again, I'm so sorry. I'm just so excited. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. But for now, take care, everybody.